you have really far right-wing Jews and really far left-wing Jews.
So it's a very privileged position to be an anti-Zionist Jew.
Like, I guess, do Jews have some special role?
If you don't align with them 100% of the time, you are excluded from the community of the good.
No. For the sake of us, because I see that nothing else works. So I'm asking to kind of open our eyes.
Half of the world's Jews live in Israel.
She's a recent Masters of Social Work and a writer for the Times of Israel blog.
The Jews are a weird people.
Please welcome Rafaella Gunz.
The Jew saw them all, beat them all, and is now what he always was. All things are mortal but the Jew. All other forces pass, but he remains. What is the secret of his immortality?
I'll just start with the source of the animosity. The source of the animosity is that the American left is not very well educated. They think they are, but they're not, especially the younger generation who's learning everything they know about world geopolitics through Instagram memes. Like they think they're so smart and so holier than thou, but they're really not, and they really don't understand things. They hear buzzwords and slogans and they're like, oh, well, apartheid, that sounds bad. Ethnic cleansing sounds bad. I guess we hate Israel because they're doing these things, when they don't know. They've never been there. They've not learned the history of MENA, geopolitics, or anything like that. So a lot of it is just miseducation, I would say. But for a semester, I attended the City University of New York School of Law, CUNY Law, and it was horrible. The person that I had the most problem with, she is the founder of Within Our Lifetime Palestine, which is an organization that discourages talking to Zionists and calls for the freedom of Palestine by any means necessary, including violent armed resistance and whatever. She's said she has a whole dossier on Canary Mission about her. She's interrupted ceremonies commemorating the liberation of Auschwitz. She has said horrible things about Zionists, but we know she's talking about Jewish people. And so, I don't know. She had the whole law.
This person was a student alongside of you at the university?
In my class, yes. And she had the whole law school under her spell. Because when I found out about this, I went to the dean of students. I was very concerned.
Why did she single you out, and did she single other Jews out too?
Oh no, because I'm the only Zionist one. You know, the rest of them were the good Jews, the anti-Zionists. Because I went to the Jewish Law Students Association. It's the only Jewish Law Students Association in the whole country that's anti-Zionist. I found that out.
How did she know you were supportive of Israel?
I mean, I don't know, from gossip, from people would like look me up on Twitter and look at my Twitter and send screenshots of my Twitter around. And it was all like very like high school gossipy. And she would give me these horrible glares, these glances, these smirks that made me so uncomfortable. Everyone at the school gossiped about me. I remember one time, it was in the big lecture hall where the teacher is on the stage. And after class, I went on the stage because I needed to ask the teacher a question. And while I'm waiting my turn, I look out into the sea of students and I see a small group pointing at me, clearly talking about me. And it's just like little sort of microaggressions like that. Like,
sounds pretty traumatic.
It's like bullying,
and then
basically.
The thing is, I went to the dean of students multiple times to express that I feel unsafe, that I feel uncomfortable, that I feel like I'm being targeted. And they were like, oh, well, you know, freedom of speech. We're not really going to do anything to help you. We're not going to hold like an intervention. We're not going to, you know, reprimand the students. We're not going to do anything. We're just going to tell you that freedom of speech.
Wait a second. What about freedom of speech? So someone can heckle you and bully you and they're protected by the freedom of speech. The fact that they're actively involved in causing you harm, mental, psychological harm, emotional harm, that doesn't count?
No, because, okay, here's a story, what I call the tale of two hoodies. The tale of two hoodies.
I like it.
Okay? So
that's going to be the title of this episode, Leo.
The tale of two hoodies. I think it's a great name because here's what happened. At the student like groups fair or whatever that they have at the beginning of each year, I saw this girl wearing this very ugly Free Palestine hoodie. Okay, it has whole of Israel on it and Palestinian flags, and it says "Free Palestine" in the Simpsons font. It was very ugly. It was very ugly. So I took a picture of it, cropped her face out. No one's face was in it. No one's identity. It was just the picture of the front of the hoodie. And I posted it on my Twitter, and I said, "Thanks, I hate it." And I posted it on the Bad Designs Reddit. Whatever. So I was just like, ew, here's something ugly that made me uncomfortable. Let me just share it to the world. I didn't really think anything of it. But of course, they were all monitoring my social media and looking me up. So they saw that I did that, and they were like, wow, you're a stalker, you're an Islamophobic harasser, you're a racist, you're all these things, XYZ. So that was one of the main reasons everyone at CUNY hated me, because they thought I was like taking pictures of people without their permission and to harass them. I was just like, I just took a picture of someone's ugly hoodie. You need to calm down. But here is why I call it the tale of two hoodies.
Yeah, where's the other hoodie?
After I left the school, so that's hoodie one that I took a picture of. No one's face in it. Said it was ugly. Everyone said I was a racist, Islamophobic harasser. Okay. A few months later, after I left the school, a video comes out from Nerdine circulating on TikTok and other social media platforms of her going up to a man wearing an IDF hoodie with a lighter and threatening to light him on fire for it. Okay, she goes up to a man with a lit lighter, goes, "Bro, I hate your hoodie," holds the lighter to him. "I'm gonna light it on fire. I'm not kidding." That's what she says. That's the TikTok. That gets around, that goes viral. The school stands behind her and issues a statement of support saying that it's her freedom of speech. It's her freedom of speech, and she's clearly just criticizing the Israeli government. And it's her freedom of speech. It's not anti-Semitism. It's not. But I'm just like, she was threatening to light someone on fire. That's threatening bodily harm, regardless of what the hoodie said or didn't say.
There's multiple things here. Like, one is like, is there a double standard in the school politics? The other thing is like, is this just her pet cause? It could be this, it could be the Kardashians, like she happens to be into Israel. I don't know her, but this is just the thing that, helps her be popular and helps her, have a personality. Or is it, really in her guts that this is?
I think it's in her guts. I think she's a Palestinian. I'm not entirely sure. She's definitely Muslim. She wears a hijab.
There's many Palestinians that
aren't like this. I know. Yeah. Well, for whatever reason, she's very radical. She, says violent things. There was she like leads all the rallies in New York that are ever like anti-Zionist, pro-Palestine rallies, where they go and they yell at outside the, JCC or whatever. She leads all of them, and they yell things like Palestine is Arab, only martyrs can open the gates of Palestine. We don't want.
How did you know?
Want it all.
Sometimes, for example, someone points to a white person and blames them for every bad thing a white person ever did. For example, did she look at you and somehow? Are you somehow standing between her and a good future somehow? What did she single you out for? Was it specifically because you were pushing
I was like
for
the
some
one
policy?
Like I wasn't even super pro-Israel. It's not like I was coming in there wearing fucking an Israeli flag on my neck like a cape. You know what I mean? Like I said reasonable things. What everyone got mad at me for was that I tweeted on my old account, which is now deleted because Twitter hates sarcasm. So they suspended my old account, which I'm really mad about because I had over 4,000 followers. But anyway, on that account, I tweeted, the more people are anti-Semitic, the more I just want to fuck off to Israel. And everyone took like screenshots of that and sent it around the school and goes, "Oh my God, look at her defending ethnic cleansing of Palestinians, blah, blah, blah." I had a lukewarm take about Israel. Like,
do you think that they understand what's really going on there, or does it matter? Even if they did, though, does it?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to them.
But even if you took them on a tour, and they went to a nice beach in Gaza, and they went to a swim club in Gaza, and they went and got nice falafels, and then they went over to Tel Aviv and got a cocktail, and at the end of the day, would they still hold the same beliefs?
I mean, probably not. But the thing is, with people like Nardine being like, oh, don't normalize Zionism, these people would never take the opportunity to go to Israel and learn for themselves because they don't want to be seen as normalizing Zionism. It's like a whole fear tactic. It's like, you could be the most leftist person. Like, think about it. Think about that woman. I think it was from Amnesty International, was it? Or maybe it was the
one from the Netherlands who put her tweet up.
Tweeted something lukewarm. I condemn the Palestinian Islamic Jihad rockets that have killed Palestinian people. And she got fired from her position. Right? Mm-hmm. So something as lukewarm a take as that, you can be the most leftist person. You can believe all the right things. I consider myself pretty leftist. You know, I care about racial injustice. I care about women's equality. I care about LGBT.
Hold on, this is important.
It doesn't matter because it's like, if you don't align with them 100% of the time, you are excluded from the community of the good. And Israel is the litmus test for that.
So hold on, let me ask you, because you touched on something that kind of was when I read the article about you, I was like, oh, this is a good point to speak to Rafaella about. I kind of imagine like a Venn diagram. You support Israel, and some, I guess, right-wing Jews, Orthodox Jews or whatever, also support Israel. So if you drew the Venn diagram, you would overlap there, right? Mm-hmm. But there was other parts, I guess, they offered you some legal help or something like that, but you didn't want to take their legal help because there were other things that you disagreed about. So that's my question. Like, is it, you know, for the anti-Semites, for example, it's like, if you have that one thing, we even though you're super, let's say, to the left, right? You believe in equality for all people and you believe in all kinds of freedoms. So you should be on the left, but around this, because of this one thing, you're disqualified.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing about that organization that offered me legal help was I was really tempted to take it because I was really salty and I had a chip on my shoulder. And I was like, well, why did I spend $7,000 to go there for a semester for nothing? Like, I basically was forced to drop out. My grades were suffering. You know, I want that money back. I'm pissed off. But then when I looked up the organization and they defend people who protest at abortion clinics, they're very they do all this legal work for anti-gay marriage.
Are they Jews?
No, I think they're Christian.
Just right wing.
They're right. There was a right-wing Christian organization that like defends people who protest at abortion clinics and who don't want to like bake a gay couple a cake or whatever. Like, things like that. And it just didn't align with my values. And I was like, well, the last thing I need is someone to be like, well, Rafaella took help from that right-wing legal organization. And I didn't want my name on their website next to all their anti-choice, anti-LGBT rhetoric.
Okay.
I just didn't want to be associated.
More exclusion. You didn't want it. Yeah.
I didn't want it because I know that it would reflect badly on me and my values. And as much as tempted as I was, you know, because I was really pissed off, I just didn't want to be associated with that because they go against my other core values.
Let's just extend it one more question deep then. The Jews are a weird people because you have really far right-wing Jews and really far left-wing Jews. Mm-hmm. You have, you know, we're like probably the country with more socialist farms or like, you know, communal farms.
Let's just ask the question. I will ask, why do you think, and I wonder if in your case it was the same, why do you think that many aggressive anti-Israel and BDS organizations are filled with Jews, actually? That's a question I'm curious about.
Oh, I have a theory.
Okay.
It's called assimilation. A lot of these Jews that are like this, what's their profile? They're usually Ashkenazi, white looking, right? Like white passing people. They're usually very secular. They don't really follow Jewish traditions or keep kosher or do anything like that. They're usually always middle to upper middle class and American or European, like living in the diaspora. So it's a very privileged position, I think, to be an anti-Zionist Jew. Because what you're basically saying is, well, in my view, I don't need Israel. My family didn't need Israel. So therefore, I can't fathom why any Jew would need Israel, is what it says. Because they have privilege, they've, assimilated into the European or American culture. They're content being white people, whatever.
Question: are those people also not reading any history books whatsoever?
Apparently not.
Have they not seen
fucking anti-Semitism died with Hitler? I don't know.
So they haven't seen that trying to assimilate brings a worse fate sometimes than remaining Jew.
Nope, they're basically neo-Bundists, and I think the Bundists were a stupid movement. So
the Bundists, who are the Bundists?
They were like the sort of like anti-Zionist Jews from World War II who were like living in Europe and Russia at the time, and like were very much like wherever we are is our home, and like sort of like we don't need Israel. And then they all got fucking slaughtered.
Of course. Of course. So I want to take Seth. Sorry, I feel like I kind of cut off into your stream there, but I wanted, if you'll indulge me, I want to take a step out because I feel like, this is definitely has left a serious mark on you. And I'm sure there are other people who are going through this. So, it's clearly not an isolated event. But I want to take, zoom out really, really far, from this micro, very personal, very emotional experience. I want to zoom out for a second. And I'm wondering, because we ask this all the guests that are here, we ask about their Jewishness and how they see themselves. And we have a question is like, how would you tell an alien from another planet who or what is a Jew? I'm curious because all of it kind of seems very much centered around the Zionism and all that. But let's face it, this hasn't started with Israel and Zionism. This goes back thousands of years. Yeah. So what is this thing, this Jewish quality? How would you explain to an alien what is this group?
I mean, I guess it depends on what
term the alien
is familiar with, right? Because we can use a term like ethno-religion, but they might be like, well, what's ethno-religion?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we could, I guess I would explain it as like we were the first, we're an ethno-religion, and we were the first people thousands of years ago to only worship one God instead of multiple gods.
Okay. All right. That's a good start.
That's a good, right? I mean, Judaism came after paganism, but before Christianity and Islam. So, I mean,
that's a good start. But I think, the world has now kind of taken a few steps forward. There are a lot of other people who believe in the one God, arguably the same one God, right? So is there anything else that's special or unique about Jews? Anything else that sets them apart?
I mean,
I will add another thing to the question.
What I would say is like we are a diaspora people because we were exiled from our homeland 3,000 years ago. So we exist all over the world, and we hold the same core values and beliefs and traditions and customs, but because we were exiled all over the world and we had to I don't want to say assimilate, but pick up elements of the dominant culture. Right? Like Yiddish is part Hebrew, part German, for instance.
Right.
Ladino is part Hebrew, part Spanish. So these different sort of strains of Jews that, wandered all over the world after our exile, picked up different customs and everything, but we're still united in our core, if that makes sense. Even though there are differences, from an Ethiopian Jew to an Ashkenazi Jew. There are cultural differences, but there are still a core Jewish quality. And I guess it's interesting that you say, what's the Jewish quality? I don't really know. I guess we're an interesting people, I think, because we never just read the Lord's word and said, oh, that's it. We always questioned and sort of fought back. You know what I mean? It's part of Jewish ID to sort of question things and argue and debate. It wasn't really like Christian or Islam where they read their holy text and it's, oh, that's the word of God, that's it. A lot of Jewish tradition is being well, why? Why is that?
So questioning the word of
Of
some
God.
god.
I feel like some people might think that that's blasphemous, but for Jews, that's just part of our tradition.
Well, we're screwed either way, so you know.
So when I'm listening to you speak now, I was arriving at the same conclusion that you arrived at while you were speaking. So I was thinking to myself, okay, I'm listening to Rafaela now, but if I'm an alien, for example, I could almost be listening to some Orthodox guy somewhere if I didn't see or perceive them differently, and I'm hearing the same, almost the same story. Now there's other details about your lives that are very different. And the same way there'd be, if it was an Ethiopian Jew, it would be totally different, or an Iraqi Jew, it would be totally different. But there's so much of what you just said that the Iraqi, the Ethiopian, the Orthodox guy, or Rafaela, like in that Venn diagram again, overlaps, right? And so what I'm trying to get to, I don't know what the right question is, but is there enough in that overlap area? Is there some special strength or some action we can do in that overlap area with all these different groups of Jews that like, I guess, do Jews have some special role, and can it be found in that overlap area maybe?
That's interesting. I like, what do you mean by special role?
So okay, hold on. So let's back it up one step. Do you feel? I'm not even asking if you believe it. I'm asking if you personally feel that Jews have gotten, are getting, always get this disproportionate amount of attention, right? Or they have a disproportionate amount of influence on world affairs. Why do you think that is? Like, how can you explain it? Before we get to role, 'cause role sounds like with a purpose. I'm just asking, first of all, on just this quality of, hey, there's this small group of people, which you said maybe question the word of this one God, have this enduring quality of unity, and they somehow have this disproportionate amount of attention and influence in the world. Why is that?
Well, I think the influence part is wrong because that sounds like an anti-Semitic conspiracy, but attention is right. Attention is right because it's just an easy scapegoat, It used to be Jews killed Jesus, kill the Jews. Jews are poisoning our wells, kill the Jews. It used to be like a really easy scapegoat, and it still is, but now it's Israel, the collective Jew.
Well,
right?
But hold on. I just want to respond to this thing about this being an anti-Semitic thing. It could be, but what if it was a positive influence? Would that still be considered anti-Semitic? What if, you have a lot of influence, you can actually impact change? I mean, let's not kind of beat about the bush. The guy behind the biggest social networks, they're all Jews. People with, behind media, behind the finance. It seems like they're like in these junctions of influence, like it or not. We can say all things, whatever we want about it, but it's.
I could say that, I think maybe a reason for that is because Jews do put a value on education and success sort of academically, and it's like important for Jews to learn. Just like it's important for us to question, I feel like it's an important Jewish value to be educated as well. And I feel like maybe that's why you have your Mark Zuckerbergs and your whoever who went to Harvard and, created billions of dollars from a social media company. I don't know, Jews value education.
Is it just education? Is there something about how they network really well? How we almost been forced to acknowledge our existence together in this world because maybe of this constant pressure from the outside, that we had to really rely more on one another, look out to one another, as you said, this quality of unity that maybe was forced upon us in a way.
I don't know. It's really hard to say. I think it's a little bit miraculous considering Jews have been through so much in our history, from exile and then pogroms and genocides and dimitude and all these different things.
It's like we shouldn't exist, right? We shouldn't even exist.
We shouldn't exist, but we're doing surprisingly well.
So,
right? Like even people that hate Israel are still tweeting from their iPhones. What's an iPhone? Israeli technology. You know what I mean? So even these anti-Israel people like are still benefiting from the smarts and the know-how of Jews.
Right. So now comes the question that Seth was asking, right? Is it possible? And this we ask everyone here, because we kind of feel it, but I'm asking again. I'm asking like mostly like your gut feeling, right? Like your core beliefs. Is it possible that since everything in nature seems to have a purpose, an end goal, right? That in humanity also different groups have different end goals, different purposes, roles, as it were, things they have to accomplish in humanity as part of the collective big thing called humanity. It's not just some random collection of individuals, but it's something that's evolving, developing, right? And we have some hand in it, in that trajectory. Is it possible? Is that an outlandish idea, or you think it may be?
No, I mean, we are called the chosen people. And of course, anti-Semites want to use that to be like, oh, well, they think they're better than us type of thing, which isn't the point. So I mean, maybe, because the Jews have never really been a spiteful people when you think about it, right? Like we have so much reason to be spiteful. Right.
Every rich Jew drives a Mercedes. 70 years after the Holocaust. It's weird how unspiteful we are as a people. It's like very strange.
I mean, except maybe my dad. Every time my dad would see a Volkswagen, he would go, not too
No,
far.
but I'm saying it's a thing. Like a Jew in Boca has a Mercedes. It's like, don't we remember what happened? But Jewish people kind of just let it roll off the shoulder like very easily.
Yeah, I mean, there are still Jews living in Germany, like,
yeah,
like you would think after the Holocaust and the like.
Why you go so far as Germany? I mean, the
Jewish people.
Ukraine's president is Jewish, and Ukraine's
president. There's Russian Jews who are being, persecuted now, of course, because every time something happens, the Jews are always like the first people of a country sort of persecuted. I've found, especially in Europe, right? Like what's happening with Russia and the Ukraine now, and then Russia dissolved the like Jewish agency there, so the Jews there can't make Aliyah to Israel, and so they're kind of stuck there. So it's just, yeah. I mean, despite the fact that the world has proved itself time and time again to not be on our side ever, like we're the easy scapegoat, we're the first people that get thrown under the bus. We aren't really a spiteful people, like I said, and we sort of take that and sort of, I don't want to say learn or grow, because that makes it seem like the Holocaust or something was a lesson to be taught, which is not the case, but like we just sort of let it better us somehow.
Isn't it interesting that, as you said, again, I'm looking at things on a macro level, right? Looking at people not as individual entities with their own personal feelings, which they have, but like zooming out, looking at this big petri dish of humanity with all these different molecules or little bacteria moving around it, right? And sources of food and all the rest of it. It's almost strange how in this experiment, nature keeps the Jewish people among all those nations, even among those nations who, as you said, who persecuted them over the years. Like it's almost like you can't really get rid of us, right? And also, I mean, the Jews
they want to, like evangelical Christians. The reason a lot of them are Zionists is because they want to bring on the end of days and have all of us move to Israel so Jesus can come back or whatever.
Right. Which is a lovely story. I'll give him that. But
yes, like half of the world's Jews live in Israel, which is great. That's our ancestral land. And then half the world's Jews live elsewhere, predominantly New York and America.
Again, strange, right? Strange.
Yeah.
We're trying to place our finger on these strange patterns, like you said, like they don't hold any spite. They
There's
have
holding
this
them together, this unity or something.
right. Something keeps them kind of together. Clumps of Jews everywhere, almost like they have to be in different places. There is this relationship with Israel, but clearly it's not like all the Jews are moving to Israel, despite everything and in spite of everything. No, it's not the case. So we're trying to look for patterns in this whole story and in this whole history, and see what can help us, because in the end we want to solve anti-Semitism. That's what we're here to talk about, not just to talk about the symptoms of it or how it manifests today versus 50 years ago or 500 years ago. We actually want to solve it. We're here, both of us. We have kids. We have a stake in it. We want to see it out of the world. So we want to try to look at it like a big experiment, and what can we learn? What are the laws governing it? And here's another thing for you. Why is it that the worst cases of anti-Semitism always come from the most developed and advanced societies? You won't find it in some weird, backwater society. No, Germany was the height of civilization at the time. America is supposedly the height of civilization, Western civilization. Why is it? What's going on here, Rafaella? That's what we're trying to find out.
I mean, that's a really loaded question. I don't know. I think maybe countries, again, because Jews have a value of education, because Jews are, I don't know, we're just sort of a smart and witty people in general. Like we make humor out of things. We're some of the best comedians, and we're, some of the smartest minds in tech and in things like that. So I think we're useful, if I'm going to be honest. We're like countries like America and Germany and England and whatever have a vested interest in keeping their Jews safe, even though they're doing a shit job at it. They have a vested interest in doing that because we help their economy.
True.
So,
It's almost like Jews are this special ingredient, like a spice you throw into somewhere, right, and things happen.
What is this person on campus? What did she have wrong? What did she get wrong? Like, if you could explain to her and she would listen to you, or if you could explain to these anti-Semites, what are they missing?
They just don't understand the whole they are taking the context of American race relations and superimposing it onto the context of the Middle East.
So what does she need to know?
She needs to know that up until the 1960s, there was no, like, if you look up Palestinian flag 1924, it has a big Star of David on it.
Yeah, no, we know that, but believe me, I live in Israel. I know that.
The 1960s was not an identity related to an Arab group of people. Like,
for
people
sure
would yell at Jews to go back to Palestine for centuries.
For sure. Listen, I live in Israel, Rafaella. It's clear everybody knows there was no prime minister, there was no government, there was no coin, there was no flag, there was nothing.
Meanwhile, but they did have a grand mufti that met with Hitler. So
of course.
Like, when they were doing their bake sale at CUNY, do you know their like Palestinian bake sale? Do you know how tempted I was to go to freaking Staples, get a big picture of the Grand Mufti and Hitler meeting, and taking it there and just standing there being like, ask me about this picture. Because they don't care. They'll be like, punch a Nazi, but also fuck Israel. Like,
right. So it brings us to the
border in Gaza. They fly swastika flags.
Right. No, it's all clear. I mean, I'll tell you more than that. I mean, not to discourage you or anyone listening, but I can see from this vantage point in Israel that neither trying to appease the Palestinians, neither trying to fight them, yields any positive result. It's almost like it's a dead end no matter where you go.
Right? They thought, let's freaking evict all the Jews in Gaza in 2005, and maybe that will bring peace, and that didn't work. And now Hamas is there making everything crazy for everyone. And I don't know. It's bizarre to me. It genuinely.
So hear me out. So here's the question. The question is, since it's clear that it's almost like you can't win with them either way, no matter what you say, right? It's almost like there's some internal mechanism that kind of drives that hate, that something. There's some. So if
Like
we just
the
kind of
battery, the magnets that reject each other. It's like you
right.
just can't bring it close, no matter what.
So
what
the
angle you
question is, if we can only control one thing, which is ourselves, us Jews, what can we do? What if you could speak to all the Jews, let's say, in the world, all at once? What would you tell them? What could we as Jews do?
I don't know. Like,
Oh, it's an easy question. No.
I don't know. I mean, just try to educate people, which is hard when you have people like Nardine being like, don't normalize with Zionists, because learning history makes people a Zionist.
What can we do to
learn the proper history?
They won't learn it.
But
they won't learn it. They don't want to learn it. Let's say, what can I do on me? You know how like when you see the world and you realize, you know what, I can change this and this and this and that. I can change something about my attitude. I can change something. Yeah, I can fight a fight, but I see people, I see Jews, good Jews, smart Jews fight Semites, take them to court. You can't sue everyone. You can't ban everyone. We can't win this, quantitative war. We don't have the numbers, right? Maybe there's something we can change about ourselves, about our attitude, something that we are maybe not getting right. And I know it's kind of like this weird question. It's because like, what? I'm okay. They're the crazy ones.
Because it kind of puts the onus on Jews to change for the sake of the Jew hater.
Because no. For the sake of us, because I see that nothing else works. So I'm asking to kind of open our eyes and be like, guys, we won't be able to educate everyone. They don't want to be educated. How can you force education on someone if they don't want to educate themselves? We can't sue everyone. We can't ban everyone. We can't take everyone to court. We can't fight everyone. We can't destroy we can't do all those things. So I'm asking, and this is the tough question for all of us, like, what can we do? If I can only control myself, let's say, right? You can't control anyone around you, right? Can you? Did you try to control people? It doesn't work.
I mean, there is that saying, like in Alcoholics Anonymous, like, grant me the courage to accept the things I can't change or whatever. So I guess acceptance being like, all right, there's always going to be anti-Semites. There have been anti-Semites for thousands of years, and just sort of like, I don't know, sort of build your own internal iron dome and swat away the anti-Semites.
I'm going to ask more. Seth, jump in, by the way. I'm sorry, I'm like hogging the mic here, but I just want to say, I see in nature and evolution, there's never like nothing happens just for spite, right? The two deers, locking horns, they're not doing it just to inflict pain on each other. It's to really kind of strengthen each other and determine who is the strongest, most capable deer to lead the pack this season, right? Like, there's always a reason for this pressure that's on the outside. Like, they make you don't go to school and they make you study late hours just to, torture you. They want you to learn something, right? To change something on the inside of you. So I'm asking, what is this pressure trying to show us, to teach us? I don't believe in it's random. I don't believe we're doomed to be hated forever and ever. I believe that maybe we're not seeing what we need to do. It's easier for me to actually accept that than anything else, just by using my eyes.
I mean, I don't know. If we can't fight everyone and we can't educate everyone, like, I don't know. For our own sake, I think we just have to accept that people, for whatever reason, usually historic ones, are going to hate Jews. You know what I mean? Like, for whatever reason, because we've always been society's favorite scapegoat.
Right.
And if it's useless to educate everyone, it's useless to sue everyone, it's useless.
Imagine if you could imagine, is there something that if we were able to do it, then the mood of anti-Semites would change, the popular opinion would change? Is there something that could happen within the Jewish community, between the black Jews and the white Jews and the fat Jews and the skinny Jews and the this ones and the those
and the left and the right?
Yeah, the left ones and the right ones. Is there something that could happen within the Jews that would make public opinion change? That would be like a wave through the air?
I don't know. Like, of course, all the anti-Semites would be like, just leave Israel, just go back to the countries that slaughtered you. And that will surely bring peace, but that's not going to happen, and that's not the case. But I know that like anti-Semites and anti-Zionists, that's what they would say. They would say, oh, well, the world hates you because Israel.
Well, the world hated the Jews before Israel, so
I know, but that's a modern manifestation of it.
Agreed. Definitely, it was religious at first, as you said. Then it was racial, ethnic, and now it's political. It's clear. The pattern is clear. The question I'm asking is, I notice usually when there's pressure from the outside, it usually makes people unite, work together, right? Forget about their petty quarrels, right? And be like, okay, forget about it. You're a Jew, I'm a Jew, we got to work together, right? In the camps, God forbid, everybody was stripped down of all their clothes, beautiful clothes. You didn't know who was a rich Jew, a poor Jew, an Ashkenazi Jew, Sephardic Jew. They were all naked Jews about to be put to death. That created a sense of camaraderie, unlike anywhere else. Granted, it was already too late. I mean, they were already in the camp. It was already a war machine going on. I'm asking if maybe this constant pressure that's causing us to naturally, intuitively unite, what if we united before that pressure? What if we preceded that machine that's kind of pushing us to unite? Because when it's going to get really bad, we're going to have to unite. But somehow we prefer not to. And I guess our big question is, why can't, do you think that Jewish unity has to do with this issue?
I mean, like I said earlier, Jews love to argue and disagree.
That's
so
okay.
I guess that might be some of it, right? Like if someone's a right-wing Jew or an ultra-Orthodox Jew and someone's like very left, very secular Jew, they might be like, well, what do I have in common with this person other than that we're both Jews? And sometimes that's not enough for people. Kind of like how I didn't want to work with that organization, that right-wing organization that wanted to represent me.
If they were
yes,
Jews,
they cared about Israel, but they also, and if they were Jews, I would feel the same. If they were Jews that were doing all this anti-abortion, anti-LGBT stuff, I would feel the same. If anything, it would make me feel worse because we expect fundamentalist Christians to be anti-gay, anti-feminist, anti-whatever. But like in Judaism, we have a different relationship with abortion. For instance, like abortion is legal in Judaism because it prioritizes the mother's life. And if being pregnant is causing her physical or mental or psychological harm, rabbis say it's okay to get an abortion because it values the life of the person already living. And Jews don't see life beginning at conception. Jews see life beginning at first breath. So,
well, Jews see life beginning when the child leaves home and gets married.
Well, you know what I mean. Like,
no, of course.
We view it differently than Christians, but Christian, sort of orthodoxy is imposed on everyone in America and in a lot of Europe.
Rafael, we have a premise, Leo and I, hypothesis here that has to do with Jewish unity, and we can't run away with it. We keep trying to find another possibility, but we can't get away from it. So I guess I just want to kind of culminate the whole conversation with this, and maybe kind of end with this kind of wish for us that imagine where Rafaella, who is liberal and pro-Israel, and some Ethiopian and some Orthodox and some Mizrahi, somehow, because we can't all agree with the points of view of each one, right? Because we each have our own lifestyle and we have our own life choices. So many things about what happens in our home, we're not going to be able to agree on. But can we find that one thing that we can all agree on, that thing that you talked about earlier, that Jew thing that's through us all? And can it be that because Jews are gay and straight and Orthodox and secular and liberal and conservative, can the Jews be some kind of microcosm of everyone? And
I
can
mean,
that be
probably like
some role model for humanity?
for a people of only about 15 million in the whole world out of 7 billion people, we are remarkably diverse, right? Like we have different skin tones, different, languages, different, all these things, but we're all still Jewish. So I guess it is sort of a microcosm for the rest of the world.
So can we be a microcosm of unity as well for the rest of the world?
I mean, yes, but that would require a bunch of us to want to be unified with the rest of us.
So join
And
us.
I have no problem with it. As someone that's relatively pro-Israel, like I have no problem being.
I'm not saying you're not, but yeah, that's
united. But then like I said, like the modern manifestation is anti-Israel, and so many Jews that are afraid to be normalizing with Zionists will reject half the world's Jews that live there.
No, and we, by the way, and I understand them. I'm sure they fear for their well-being, and they basically look at the options and be like, I will, they do what seems best at the moment, but they're a bit myopic when considering our history. What would you? This is our last question. Like, I think Seth asked it, but he didn't really put a question mark at the end. Like, what would you wish to all the Jews who might be listening to us today? I mean, not today, it's recorded, but
to just love one another and respect one another and be there and uplift one another. Like, I'm sure a lot of Jews would reject me because I'm pretty secular. I'm covered in tattoos. Like, I don't fit the picture of what a typical Jewish person is like. But, if people could still, read and hear my story and be like, that was fucked up what she went through, I stand with her. And just sort of find ways to understand one another on a more fundamental level rather than what political party you identify with or how you feel about Israel in its modern manifestation or whatever. Like,
right.
I don't know.
Did you know that the word Yehudi comes from the word Yichud, like to unity?
Yes. That's interesting. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
I love that, yeah.
How's your Hebrew, by the way?
Not good. My mom lived in Israel. My parents met and married in Israel. So I know like random Hebrew words. I know shalat is the word for remote control. That's what that's about because my mom would always be like, where's the shalat? And so like I
just got back from Tel Aviv and it seemed like everybody was covered in tattoos. So I don't know the last time you were there, but you'd fit right in.
I went in 2014 on birthright. I do want to go there. I want to get a tattoo in Israel. I like getting them when I travel, and I would only trust an Israeli person to do anything in Hebrew or anything Jewish related. Like I wouldn't trust some random person in America to do it. So
right. So they're doing tattoo the word shalat on your back.
No, I think if I were to get a Hebrew tattoo, it would be Gamzu La Tova.
Nice.
Or just something simple like a Hamsa with a Star of David in the middle.
Or maybe Ve'ahavta le'reacha kamocha.
What's that mean?
Love your friend or the other as yourself.
Oh, I like that.
It's the biggest rule of the Torah by Rabbi Akiva. All right, Rafaella. Oh my God, time flew.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Thank you for taking the step to come here and talk about this somewhat unpopular topic. This is what we at the Jew Function believe that we have to do. We have to start by talking to each other.
Yeah.
And then from talking to each other, maybe we'll get a little closer and we'll see that we can unite if we try. Right, Seth?
Yeah. I read before I knew what you were going to be on, that we were going to be speaking to you. I read many things I saw on Twitter about you. I first of all, I'm in Jersey. I know it's bad, but I didn't realize how bad it was at CUNY.
Oh my God, it's so bad. It's so bad. I testified to the city council And like the chancellor of CUNY didn't even show up to the
Yeah,
hearings.
I saw the hearings. Yeah.
They just really do not care when it comes to Jews, which is sad because CUNY was built in part because of Jew quotas at places like Columbia and Harvard.
It was built by Brandeis. He was a Jew. It was
right. So like it was a place that was like meant for Jews, and now they're chanting Zionists out of CUNY. There's this organization called Not in Our Name CUNY that wants to encourage Jewish students to unlearn Zionism, which feels very like Russian re-education camps in the Soviet Union.
Yeah. They just took the book of Diary of Anne Frank from some school in
Texas.
Texas. Texas withdraw Anne Frank's diary from classrooms.
So when I was reading your story, I thought it was unique, especially because you're not just a Orthodox person who's doing this. I thought you're brave, and I thought, what the heck is in this woman that she wants to fight about this, so much? Why can't you just
I don't know. It just feels so visceral. Like it feels like something deep in my core.
That's what I'm,
My dad's mom did not jump off a train going to a concentration camp in Poland for me to hate Israel.
Yeah, right. There's something in our core.
Years later, that's just not like my ancestors didn't survive pogroms and the Holocaust for me to just be some white girl in New York who hates Israel because it's trendy. Like, I don't know. I'm descendant from brave Jewish women, so.
All right,
Thank you.
Let's make unity trendy. Screw everything else, and that's it. That's the Jew Function Talks for today. Thank you, Rafael, for being with us.
Rafaela, for bringing your story and your power.
Absolutely. Follow us, like us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, anywhere. Basically, it's all the Jew Function. We're together. We uncover the function of the Jews in humanity. And we'll see you here in our next talk. Thank you.
Thank you.
And out.